Shalom, everyone. So I know I said that I was leaving social media. However, I wanted to make this last video, and I'm pretty certain that this will be my final post. But then if the Most High leads me to post something, then I will. But I'm pretty sure this will be my last post. I wanted to make this post because I got this article sent to me this morning from my sister. And she was just like, what in the world? This is crazy. What's happening, And so I wanted to point out this article because I'm not going to go into full detail of it, but I'm not going to read all of it. You can Google if you want, but I'm just going to highlight a couple of things from it. So basically, this article is saying that Ramadan is starting today or sometime very soon for those in the Islamic world. And Ramadan, in my opinion, definitely is there to it parallels our Day of Atonement. Now theirs go for 30 days, ours go for one day, but it's the same concept for them, where it's like they're fasting from sun up to sundown, and they're putting their mind focused on their God and all that other stuff, and they're centering themselves and to align with their ways of serving and pleasing their God. And so they also go into community works, whatever. So this article is talking about wanting to institute, or starting actually to institute, the loudspeaker call to prayer in this city, in this neighborhood in Minneapolis, so that those who are Muslim that are living there can hear that call, and they won't be able to gather in the mosques because of the quarantine that's going on, but they can all unitedly come together and bow and pray towards Mecca, the city by the sea over there. It's a few miles from the Red Sea, but anyway, pray to Mecca and focus on their God and their religion. And they want everybody to be able to have a sense of community and feel together and unitedness, knowing that other Muslims and all the Muslims in that area are going to hear that call, and everybody's going to be united at that one time. So it's all about uniting again. But anyway, this article is talking about that, and they're actually starting to do this. But one thing I wanted to point out here is this paragraph here that starts with "I believe." The last sentence says, "The call to prayer is no more a sign of a religion taken over than those beautiful church bells he's heard for years." Now, I find that funny because actually he is correct, because I heard church bells growing up too, even when I was, identifying somewhat as a Christian. And now that I'm not a Christian, well, I really was never a Christian, but now that I really truly am not a Christian and don't identify with it anymore, those bells, I still hear them, especially in my old house. It was a church behind my neighborhood, and it would ring all the time at like 6 o'clock. But anyway, so I find that funny though, because I look at this and say, look at how they are asserting themselves and becoming more bold even more. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I don't want to incite any type of anger or nothing like that to anybody, because I don't care about fighting. We're supposed to live peacefully, but at the same time, as Israelites, those who carry out the truth, we are supposed to speak the truth and proclaim the truth and preach it in boldness and in authority. So I'm speaking this boldly and with authority. They are becoming more assertive in what they're doing. They're pushing themselves even more into the rest of the world. Now, if you notice, this is something new to people in America for the most part. You don't typically hear this, or even the Western world, you don't hear this call to prayer. Now, go to the Eastern world, this ain't nothing new. Go back on that side of the world, this is nothing new. Every place that I've been to and I traveled to in that side of the world had this call. I was hearing the bell, the call at 4 o'clock in the morning, and when I was in Dar es Salaam, and 4 o'clock their time when I was in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, and the man would come on the speaker. Actually, it was two men would come on the speaker, and they started citing their prayer in Arabic. And the same thing when I was in Egypt, of course, multiple times a day, and then even in Israel. Like, if those of us who have been to Israel, if you pay attention, there's more of an Islamic presence in Israel than there is any other religion. Now, the scripture tells us that, I want to say it's in Obadiah, but I could be wrong. But the scripture tells us for sure that Esau has parted the land of the Most High, the promised land, with the heathen. The heathen is the Ashkenazi Jewish people that are living there. Esau is not the white man, but I'm going to break that down in this video. And that's the reason why I'm coming out speaking this video. He's part of the land of the promised land with the heathen. And if you go to Israel, if you just look at it, just Google a picture of the old city Jerusalem, you cannot find one picture that does not have that Dome of the Rock as the center of attention. Every place that I went to in Israel, even the Haifa Gardens, there's 8-pointed Islamic stars all over that place. Okay, and if you just look at Jerusalem, you will find mosques everywhere. I found more mosques there than churches. I didn't even see a Jewish temple. Now, you do see Jewish people all over that place, and you do see Muslims as well. But as far as edifices, the mosque was the most reigning and prevalent one that was there. Every time you saw a church, there was a mosque somewhere close by, within like 2 miles, and actually less than 2 miles, like 500 feet, it seemed like. And the mosque was always either higher up on the hill or was larger in size. So that to me shows that that religion actually is the more dominant religion, even though we know it to be Jewish. Judaism is the stronghold of that region. But Islam is there as well. Okay. Now, when I wanted to show this, what I wanted to make this video was because I'm saying this to say, when you read the scripture that says that, I think it's in Esdras. I should have had this better prepared, but there's a scripture in the Apocrypha where it says that Esau is the end of this world, and Jacob is the beginning of the one to come. Now, Jacob is the beginning of the one to come when the rule is back given to Israel. The wicked are no more in the land. The righteous remnant of Israel is reigning with the Messiah, Yahushua, and we're in the New Jerusalem. That's the world to come. The world that we are in now, which is the end of this one that's coming quickly, Esau is the ruler. Esau is not the white man, you guys. White people are of a whole different genetic makeup than black people. Okay, let's be clear about that. And I know people want to fight and argue with me probably want to fight and argue with me about that, but that's not going to happen because I ain't got time to be arguing and fighting and debating over stupid stuff. Read the scriptures. Esau was a black man. Esau is a black man. There is no way that a black person with 2 black parents, because this is what Israelites teach, that Jacob and Rebekah are black people. Abraham, Isaac, Sarah, all those people are black people. Isaac and Rebecca 2 black people can never make a white person genetically. Can we make a white person in color? Yes, because we see that now with people that have albinism, but we know they're still black. We consider them black. We call them black. We embrace them as being black. The book of Enoch says that Noah was born with white skin and piercing red eyes or something like that, or piercing eyes. But there's some debate whether or not that book is true or not, but let's just say that is true. We know that Noah was born as an albino according to that scripture, if that's correct. We can make people that have white color and skin the absence of melanin, but they are not white genetically. Being white does not just mean that you have white or lack of brown skin, okay? It's a whole different genetic makeup. If you don't believe me, Google it, do some research, okay? They actually, in my opinion, are the serpent seed, but I'm not even going to get into that because that's a whole nother topic that you got to go into, that you got to know, you got to study about. But anywho, Esau is a black man. He is our twin brother, so that means he looks just like us, okay? Let me show you some scriptures real quick, or some references real quick. First of all, when we go to Jasher, and I believe this is 57, it talks about, and I encourage you to go back and read it yourself. It talks about the Edomites taking over Mount Seir, the children of Esau fighting with the children of Seir, and they were claiming the land. And so it talks about the battle. So, they went back and forth for a little while, and then Esau ended up prevailing. But verse 37 is what I want to point out, and 38. And it says here, verse 38 and 39 is what I want to point out. And it says here, and it came to pass in those days that the children of Esau resolved to crown a king over them in the land which they became to possess. And they said to each other, not so, for he shall reign over us in our land, and we shall be under his counsel, and we shall not. Actually, no, I'm sorry. Let me jump up to 37. And the children of Esau took all belonging in the land of the children of Seir, also their flocks, their bullocks, and their goods, and all the things belonging to the children of Seir did the children of Esau take. And the children of Esau dwelt in Seir, in the place of the children of Seir, unto this day. Seir is over in Edom, over there near Saudi Arabia, Saudi Arabia, and Jordan, that Middle Eastern place. Okay, and the children of Esau divided the land into divisions to the 5 sons of Esau according to their families. And it came to pass in those days that the children of Esau resolved to crown a king over them in the land of which they became possessed. And they said to each other, not so, for he shall reign over us in our land. We shall be under his counsel, and he shall fight our battles against our enemies. And they did so. Here it is. And all the children of Esau swore, saying that none of their brethren should ever reign over them, but a strange man who is not of their brethren, for the souls of the children of Esau were embittered, every man against his son, brother, and friend, on account of the evil they sustained from their brethren when they fought with the children of Seir. What is it saying? This is saying that Esau, the children of Esau, agreed to put it in their tradition to never have one of their own people reigning over them, okay? That doesn't make sense if the white man is Esau, because the white man has nobody over him but himself, okay? He controls his own people. He is the leader of his own people. Now, it says that they want a strange man, okay? Now, if you go to, look at this. This is black people in Saudi Arabia. Look at the picture here. It says, congratulations to Saudi Arabia, to women in Saudi Arabia. Okay. Look at this guy here. Portrait of a Saudi boy with black skin. Did he look white? Look at this here. Read the Pinterest caption. Indigenous people of Saudi Arabia, original Arabs. Look real closely at them. Look real closely at them. Okay? Let me show you another thing. I always forget his man's name, but I remember his face very well. Look at him. Saudi Arabia. Look at this guy. You're not going to sit up here and tell me that this is a white man. But when you look at who's reigning over Saudi Arabia, oh Lord, these buttons are so small. Is a seemingly white man. Yes, he's mixed out. He has different ethnicities in his blood, but it's a white guy. A stranger is ruling over him. He's ruling over Esau. Okay, and remember, Esau, this is another thing, when you look at the religion of Islam, it very closely parallels the religion of Hebrewism because it was birthed out of Hebrewism, regardless if people want to admit that or not, it was. When you look at Ishmael, because people want to say all Arabs are Ishmaelites, not true. Ishmael was half Egyptian. When he was put out from Sarah and Abraham's house because when you read the book of Joshua, he was trying to kill Isaac 3 different times. Sarah caught him trying to kill him. So anyway, they said, put him out. And that's when the Most High told Abraham to listen to his wife, and he put him out. He went back home to Egypt, and he got a wife from Egypt. Hagar took him a wife from Egypt. Okay. That means he would have assimilated into the Egyptian culture. When you look at the Egyptian religion, it does not very much so parallel that of Hebrewism. Honestly, it's actually very opposite. They believe in polytheism. We believe in monotheism. Okay. So when you look at Islam, it very much so parallels that of our own religion, okay? I mean, not religion, we don't have a religion, but that of our own faith and culture and traditions. But Esau married into Ishmael's daughters as well as into the Cushite daughters, okay? So Arab, basically, Arab is a Hebrew word, and it means mixed. So Esau intermarried just to spite his brother, his mother, and his father. He intermarried with foreign women, strange women. And the book of Joshua tells us that that was a headache to Abraham and Rebecca. To Isaac and Rebecca. Esau rebelled against the ways of the Most High and against his parents from day one. Okay, when you read the book of Joshua. Anyway, he began to make a mixed seed. Ishmael also was mixed, and he intermarried into Egyptian, but his DNA would have been erased after a few generations if his people kept marrying, his children kept marrying into Egyptians, okay? But Esau became a nation, and therefore, excuse me, his seed began to intermarry within, their own seed, and so that his DNA was a little bit more prominent in his seed than Ishmael would have been, because Ishmael was one man that went into a sea of Egyptians. Okay, Esau married. He married 4 women, had half-breed children with them, and then those children began to intermarry within their own people as they took on. But he also their seed also believed in going into other cultures and marrying too, because you'll read that he married sent his daughters to the Horites, which people believe that those are like some kind of like creature or something. That's not true. They are also, I believe, a black group of people, a black tribe that lives on the side of the mountains. When you look at countries like Jordan and places like that, you'll find troglodytes where you see where they actually have carved out spaces in the side of the mountains, and they have set up homes there. They have furniture and painting on the wall and everything like that. So a troglodyte, a Horite, is not some foreign, like mixed creature that you'll find, or a foreign creature or monster that you'll find like a fairy tale. Many people want to believe that. Anyway, it's not even a Neanderthal. But anyway, that's a whole different group of study. Anyway, so Esau intermarried with other people, and then he became his own nation. But at the same time, his people they stayed marrying within their own. So they carried out that semi-Hebrew, whatever mixed blood more than Ishmael would have, even though they were still some that were intermarrying outside, and going to different races. But my point is that when you look at the scriptures, it says that, I'm sorry, I was talking about Islam. So when you look at that, Ishmaelites actually they follow, today you can find Ishmaelites that do practice Islam, but when you look at the actual, in my opinion, when you look at the actual main proponents of Islam, where it came from, it came out of Hebrewism because it was a religion that started from those who were very closely related to the Israelites, okay? Ishmael's religion, he would have adopted into the ways of the Egyptians. Their religion is not the same as ours. Now, another thing you want to look at is that when you look at Shem, he had a lot of different children, okay? But when you look at his lineage, the Persians also come from Shem as well. And when you look at their religion, they don't have a religion that's similar to ours. In fact, when you look at Esther, it says here, Haman, let me find it, Haman, the Persian who sought to destroy Mordecai and all the Jews that were living in the provinces of King Ahasuerus at that time, which stretched from Ethiopia, Kush over into Southeast Asia, or farther Southeast Asia, India. He wanted to kill them because Mordecai did not want to bow to him, all that stuff, whatever. But it says here in verse 8, this is Esther Editions, chapter 3 in the Apocrypha, verse 8. Then Haman said to King Ahasuerus, there is a certain people scattered and separated, because we live set apart from the heathen, among the peoples in all the provinces of your kingdom, and their laws are different from those of every people, and they do not keep the laws of the king's laws, so that it is not appropriate for them to tolerate them. Okay? Now I want to show something else too real quick. Okay, so this is a screenshot of the actual book. I like this version a little bit better. This is the actual Apocrypha book. I couldn't find this online, but I took a screenshot of my actual book, and it says here, where I have underlined, there was a certain malicious people that had laws contrary to all nations and continually despised the commandments of kings, so as the uniting of our kingdom honorably intended by us cannot go forward. From Hebrews is in the way. Seeing that we understand that this people is alone and continually in opposition, because nobody else was fighting the ways of the kings that was ruling over them. We were the only ones that were alone in opposition unto all men. Listen to this. Differing in the strange manner of their laws. Now, I want to point that out to say, Haman, who was a Persian of the seed line of Shem, said that our laws was different and strange. They were foreign to him as well, and he comes from the seed line of Shem. What am I trying to say? What I'm trying to say is show and prove that Islam is a religion that was based out of the culture of the Israelites. Therefore, it had to come from someone who was very close to the Israelites, okay? It had to come from someone who was of the lineage of someone who spent their time closely related to the Israelites, who knew the faith and religion of the Israelites. Oh, not religion. I keep saying that because I'm speaking about religion, but the faith and the culture and traditions of the Israelites, okay? So Esau's seed in Saudi Arabia and in other parts of, that region of the land, because they have some in Israel and, Jordan, all that stuff, that religion was formed out of our Hebrewism customs because Esau comes from the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The white man does not come from the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I don't care what you want to believe, what you want to say, or how you want to paint the picture, how you want to spin it, because the white man doing this, white man doing that. He does not come from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Okay, he is not of Esau. So when you go back to my original point, it shows, I'm saying this to prove that Esau's religion, Esau himself is stretching himself out over the land and exerting himself in his dominant ways of doing things. He's exerting himself in ways and places that he's never been through before. It's spreading all over the land. When you remember the scripture, it says that Esau is the end of this world and Jacob is the beginning of the one to come. That's why when you look at how this right here is happening, and they're bringing that religion of Islam, which is birthed out of Hebrewisms from someone who comes with the lineage of somebody who was very closely related to the Israelites. No wonder their religion looks very similar to ours. They don't eat pork. The women dress modestly. They believe in, one God, so to speak. They believe in one divine power, or Elohim, as some would say. I say Eloah. That's the Paleo Hebrew word that I use to define one God. Because Elohim is plural. But anyway, when you look at that, their religion is very similar to ours. And Esau has always been jealous of us. his seed and his lineage have always been jealous of us. Okay, they have been working to like overthrow us from whenever, like far back. So this is his final plot. I also personally believe that the Antichrist will be of a Edomite lineage. When you read Daniel chapter 11 and you go through that, the verse says that he's going to take the kingdom by flatteries. They're not going to want to give the kingdom to him, but he's going to take it by flatteries and speaking peaceful things. Then it says that he's not going to regard the God of his fathers. When you look that word up, it's translated as Elohim in the Hebrew. But when you also hear that term, the God of his fathers, we all know who that's talking about: Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They would not say that if they were speaking about a heathen who was coming to be the Antichrist. Okay, it says he would not regard the God of his fathers. But he will regard the God of forces, which is what would be considered perhaps today the God of Mars or something from the Roman culture, the God of war and military and all that stuff. He's going to worship that God. But it's also, that God also goes back to a very ancient deity, which is found in Syria. Many people believe that the Antichrist is going to come out of the Turkey-Syria region. Whole different topic to study. Anyway, I hope this makes sense, but my point is that I wanted to make this video to prove and show that Esau is doing his work to come forward, to put himself on top and to reign over the people of Yah and all over the whole entire world. It may look like the white man, but it's not the white man when you do your studying. This is why you can't spend your time fussing and screaming and debating on social media and posting just be posting. You got to really be chewing this word. You got to really be mulling on this word. You got to really be meditating day and night on this word, because you won't understand these things. You won't see these things if you spend your time fussing and fighting and debating over stuff that makes no sense and has no relevancy at the end of the day, nor does not hold up in scripture at the end of the day. So you have to pay attention to this. It may look like the white man is living out, but really he's not. If you be honest, if you really study the scriptures and you see what's really happening, you'll see that he's really not. He's the face that's leading the charge, but he's not the one that's leading it. Now, I never thought that. I always knew that the white man was never Esau. I didn't know who he was until I started watching this guy on YouTube, G-Dash. I'm sure many of you have heard of him, G-Dash the Prophet. He has a great multiple series video about Esau being of Arabic origin, or black Arab, so to speak, in that region of the land. And if you want more information on that and you want to get more teaching on that, I highly, highly, highly recommend that you go and watch his videos, because he does a great job at breaking that down. So this is to say that we have to prepare ourselves and pay attention to what's going on. Do not get caught up in the hype and the hoopla. Do not jump and grab hold of something because that's what sounds good, that's what looks good, that's what it looks like, that's what your brain can comprehend, or that's what people are saying, that's what the majority is saying. Do not get caught up into that. Follow the scriptures. The Most High has put everything we need to know inside of that book. You got to read that book over and over and over again, because every time you read it, every time I read it, I find something new in scriptures I've read 100 times my whole life. Okay? You got to know that book for yourself. You cannot rely on somebody to just feed you with something, because you're not a baby bird. You're not going to open your mouth and let somebody regurgitate something into you. You don't even know where they're getting information from, what their motive is behind pushing out certain things, and what is going into you. You have to know for yourself. And you have to study for yourself. Get off of social media. Stop over here trying to post all the time and, be the revelator. Focus on studying the word. Focus on studying the word and knowing it, and know that whatever that you do post, you know what you're talking about. And you're not coming from your own thoughts and understanding. You have divine understanding of the scriptures, and you can point to everything I said in the video. I can point, I can prove it, I can break it down even more than scripture. But I'm trying to make this video a lot more, shorter than what it already is now. But I had to say what I had to say. So focus on the scriptures, read the word. This is not to scare anybody. The Antichrist is on the scene. I believe he's alive and well today, and he's going to make his presence known very quickly, within the next 10 years or less. The world is never going to go back to the way we used to know it prior to COVID-19. They have reset the whole system. They have put everything on the national grid of electronic and digital trading, and they're setting up all these businesses, and they're trying to get you on this as well. They want you to be on a universal basic income system where they control how much money you make. They control how you spend it and where you spend it, if you can spend it. Okay. People want to argue and debate about whether or not the market of beast is a chip or something else. Who gives a flying care what it is? The fact of the matter is, I personally do believe it's a chip, but the fact of the matter is that it's going to be something that's going to be implanted into you, that's going to be regulated through an electronic system, detection system, where you're going to have to decide. I mean, you're going to have to decide whether or not you're going to take that chip or whatever it is, and that thing is going to be registered with an electronic system, so that when you need to go buy food, you need to wave that in front of it, and that lets you let the person know that, okay, this person can clear, this person coming by. It has to be electronic, okay? But even if it's not, it doesn't matter. It's going to be something, and that something in that system is set up in place now. But people will argue you down about whether or not it's A or it's B. It doesn't matter what it actually looks like. If it's red or it's purple, if it's blue or it's black, it doesn't matter. Those are minute details. But what matters is that it's here on set. We went down, COVID-19 came out of nowhere in America, and next thing we knew, the whole world was shut down. The whole entire world has shut down over coronavirus. Everywhere, every country has shut down. Places that didn't even have this outbreak were shut down just for the sake of not wanting to get it. This is a mass manipulation because they're resetting the grid. They did the same thing in 2000 with the Y2K. They're resetting the grid, and when they restart back up, everybody's going to be subject to the grid. And I'm not saying that that's because you took the money, it's not like that. But I'm saying the way of living the way we used to, no more. Cash is about to become obsolete if it isn't already. So stop out here trying to chase and grind and become a millionaire. That stuff, those days are long gone. Okay, in my opinion. Now, can the Most High bless you and raise you up? Of course he can, because we did it with plenty of Israelites. But let him do that. Let him add that to your life, because he said, seek first the kingdom and everything else will be added unto you. But if your focus is out here only on trying to get paper and get money and grab this bag and secure this bag, you're lost, my friend. You're lost. Because the new way of doing things is now digital, if you haven't noticed. Okay? The Antichrist is alive and he's on set. And I just wanted to say that he's stretching his hand out. He's pushing himself through. He's pushing his ways. He's setting the world up, because Islam and all those, that faith and that religion, they're all about unity. They're all about one world, uniting under one God. They're making it easy for the Antichrist to come in. They're preparing people for his arrival. Now, this isn't to scare the Israelites, because the righteous remnant has a place to go. When you read, where is it? There's a spot in the wilderness that he has already prepared for us. Read Revelation 12. Read, believe it in Isaiah, the man that keeps himself from wickedness, his safety shall be in the rocks. When you study that out, it's an actual literal place. I've laid my eyes on it online, but I've laid my eyes on it. It's a literal place. And I believe that's the place that the Most High has for us to be protected in the last days. It's going to cause us to flee to that area. The scripture says the time of Jacob's trouble, but it says, he shall deliver them out of them all. Okay? So don't be afraid. This is just the time to know when you need to really get serious and stop playing games. Stop trying to be Instagram famous or trying to be Hebrew Israelite, famous or whatever. Stop. Don't get caught up in trying to follow the crowd. Seek this word for yourself, because a lot of people that are in Israel are not going to make it. It's just true. They're not going to make it. 2/3 are going to be cut off. That's a lot of people. You got to know this for yourself. Do not let somebody cause you to miss out because you're over here following them and you're not studying for yourself. And you're just saying, well, if so-and-so said it, it got to be true. So-and-so can be off too. And sometimes so-and-so can be off intentionally. Because a lot of people are in this community, in this religion or whatever, not religion, this culture, this way of life. They're not in it for good. There's a lot of wicked Israelites. And that's no different from our history when you read the book. It's always been that way. So anyway, I've made this video way too long. And I'm going to end here, and I'm going to see you guys later. Shalom. Have a blessed day.